Okay, I guess we can start the session. Let me kick this off. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the next session of Sitecore User Group Jaipur. And in today's user group meetup, we have two folks to present about Sitecore CDP. I would like to introduce first Yogeshwer, who is working as a solution architect at Centium and also a Sitecore MVP 2017-18, and Rishiraj, working as a solution architect at RightPoint, to present about their experience with Sitecore CDP, with implementation and integration. So I am going to hand over this session to them. I think you can start now.
Okay, so thank you so much for quick introduction. Hello everyone. Let's have some quick introduction about me and then Rishi, and then we can start with the presentation. So, like as Sumit already told about us, I'm Yogeshwer Sharma. I'm working as an architect here in Adventium, and I'm working with Sitecore since 2011. So, can you just give quick round of introduction, Rishi?
Yeah, thank you, Yogesh. So my name is Rishiraj Shekhawat, and I'm working in RightPoint as a solution architect, and I have around 10 years of experience in Sitecore. And today we are going to tell little bit about the Sitecore CDP integration and implementation. Over to you, Yogesh.
Okay, guys. So we'll start with Sitecore CDP. So as all of you already know about it, like Sitecore is mainly nowadays focusing on software as a service components modules, basically. So this is one of the composable thing, like SaaS thing. And so first in this session, we'll start with the introduction of Sitecore CDP, what exactly the CDP is, how you can utilize the CDP in your project, how you can integrate basically, and then a few steps of the implementation. Meanwhile, like we'll also tell a few more information about CDP, like how it works, what are the key features of CDP, what are all the areas which can be explored in CDP, and so on. So first we'll go with the introduction and few detailed sections about Sitecore CDP, and then after the introduction and everything, we'll move to the demo section where we will show you how you can simply integrate Sitecore CDP in your website. Okay, so with the help of like simple steps, and then we'll show you some of the CDP dashboard areas, like how you can plug in like your features, or how you can basically access the features which is provided by CDP, what kind of like reports are given by the CDP portal, and what are like all the events you can trigger over there. So I think we'll start with so what will be our agenda like today is so I already like spoke about most of them, and if we will get some time after this presentation, then we'll discuss about the batch import also, because it's a bit it's a fashion of going for the Postman thing. So it depends on how much time we have remaining after the presentation. We'll discuss with it. And the last one, question and answer. So we'll put some time frame there to ask the questions, and we'll try to give the answers of them. Okay. So Rishi, can you just start with CDP introduction and everything?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I will little bit tell about how CDP works. And so everyone know like CDP stands for like customer data platform. So first of all, let's discuss about this a small example that we given here. So you can see like from a like laptop or any desktop device or any phone. So James is a guy who clicked to search the iPhone. Now in application data is going into CDP, and then we are getting some returns, like suppose we can say iPhone, we are getting some of the personalized data related to phones. So how, like it's a simple way, like CDP is tracking from this example. What we can see, like CDP is tracking each and every click that we did on our application, what we search, what tab, like what are the tabs we did, and other than that, like what are our buying signals, means like did we add then that kind of iPhone into our cart or not. Other than that, it is just consolidating and connecting all your customer or customer data in one place, then it's written as the output. So other work, how CDP works, it build customer profiles and segment with the real-time data. So whatever, like suppose in this example, James is searching for iPhone. In real time, we are getting that data. So all the data that we are getting is seamlessly integrated across all our business. That is requirement. So one more example I can tell you, like simple, everyone know about that. Like generally we have any net banking application, suppose for iMobile I'm using. Whenever by mistake if I go to this loan department, like loan section, so it provide me some offers, so like personal loan or car loan or anything else. By mistake if I click, it is just gathering my data, and then either I'm getting some promotion offers, or maybe some, like we can say, like I'm getting some calls from their customer cares. So what they are doing, they are just gathering my data, my clicks, like which page I am viewing, all the searches, my tabs, which buttons I'm click, and according to that, it is they are just gathering my data and they are returning to according to that. So that kind of personalization they are using. So same kind of things are happening in CDP. Next slide, please. Yogesh, next slide, please.
Yeah, it's there. It's there for you.
Yeah, so the first thing, what is Sitecore CDP? That I already tell you, like CDP stand for Customer Data Platform that capture uh, and unifying and the user customer data from any of the channel. Channel could be anything, like it could be any like call centers, or it could be any like your mobile, web, whatever, any channel that works. It just capturing data from there. So next thing is omni-channel user experiences. Third thing is either use a, so it can be either use a JavaScript library or call the API directly. And the next thing is can be connected to any external system that support REST API. So it we can use any of kind of system. So it is like composable thing. Like we can connect to any of the system that, but there is the only basic requirement. It should support the REST API. And the other thing is real-time interactive experience. So we will get the real-time interacting experience from the CDP. Next. So now we will talk about the key features of a CDP. So there are lots of features that CDP provide us, but now I'm going to go through only few of them. So first of the features that is helpful for marketers. So like marketers will be able to manage their day by day running activity of the CDP with just light support from their IT team, like their dev team or their tech team, because we need little bit idea about this CDP, how it's work, how in dashboard we are gathering the data, which are the customers are a real customer and which are like visitors. So that kind of stuff we can that. If like we can like marketers have little bit idea about that one, then they don't need to take much help from the tech team or dev team as well. So the next thing is CDP should be capable for collecting data from multiple sources. So it is capable to collect data from multiple sources that we already talk about, like any customer services, CRMs, or email. Emails mean email triggering. From email triggering as well, they are like collect the data. Next thing is CDP should have a web-based UI that allow marketers to segment customer into customer audience. So CDP should have a web page UI for the marketers. The next thing is CDP should have accessible to external system where data can be shared through either email or either any other application. Social media. Social media is also a platform where data should be accessible to external system, and mobile and web are common things. Next slide. So the next and important thing that comes in CDP is Sitecore CDP data model. So Sitecore CDP data model is flexible and extensible. So this flexibility and extensibility is the, like we can say, like whoever guys, like all we are working in Sitecore. This extensible thing is the primary feature of Sitecore. Suppose like before CDP, when we were working in XM XP, we have like we can extend anything in Sitecore. Suppose like pipelines we can extend, we can create our custom URLs, we can create all the new fields. If I talk about forms, we can create new form fields, custom form fields. So same kind of feature we it provide here as well. So extensible is here also. So custom data added as data extension to the guest order. So here you can see we have two sections. Guest, in the like guest, a guest can have multiple sessions, and each session can have multiple events. If I talk about the section 2, so guest can have multiple orders, and each order can have multiple order items, or we can just say it to the line item. And now if I talk about guest types, so guest type also have four different types. So that is not mentioned here, but I can tell. So like guests have four types: customer, visitor, retired, and traveler. Well, I think in one of the, like in the new one, this traveler got removed. And if I talk about if I talk about the next slide, in the flowchart diagram, you can see it is telling about the during integration and after integration. So you can see here when web app behavior some request going on, then we are using this stream API. So what this stream API, it is just collecting and sending real time behavioral and transactional data, and then sending this data into CDP. So how, if you see this diagram, how it is collecting data, there are lots of things that we can utilize it, like searches, page, product, views, cart activity, and identity. So all are the things that we are using to collect the data. And other things, some more things we can use, like geolocation. So geolocation detail is also important thing for collecting the data. So once uh, data is integrated, after that Sitecore CDP start capturing the data. You can see after CDP start capturing the their behavioral or transactional data from your application. So this is the basic that it is showing. And then web, after syncing, we are just pushing audiences and decision to or web push, either email, your social media, mobile messaging, and marketing cloud. Next slide, please. So now the next section that comes, sorry, one slide. Yeah, now the next section comes, that is integrating the Sitecore CDP. So there are uh, four kind of interaction that we used. So first one is browse, second one is converted, third one is abandon, fourth one is email. So what is mean by browse? Browse means session that does not result. It means something you browse on your application, but it doesn't convert in any order, or it means session is not completed. There is no order related to it. Second one is converted. Converted means we browse the session, but it result into a like purchase. Suppose for example, like you or like you browse some order, added into your cart, and then you like complete the order as well. So that is called converted session. Third one is abandon. Abandon session means that it resulted into a abandoned cart. It means order also not completed in for this one. Next one is email. It is simple like triggering by email. The next thing is integrating the Sitecore CDP. So for integration of Sitecore CDP, we are mainly using three like APIs. Three APIs. First one is Stream API. Second one is a Batch API. Third one is REST API. So Stream API lets you collect and send real-time behavior and transaction data about the users of your application to Sitecore CDP. So this Stream API have two two APIs as well. So first one is browse API, second one is event API. So browse API enables you to extend functionality within a web browser. So the main purpose of using this browse API is we are able to use this browse API to manage cookies in the browser, and by using manage cookie, it helps us to identify guests that makes personalization easier for customers or for the CDP. Second part of this event API. So this event API is responsible for event processing. It means it enables the event processing. Uh, if I talk about a simple example, you can use this event API to send event at a speed for mobile application on your or desktop application to your website. So next part of integrating the Sitecore CDP is batch API. So batch API is responsible for upload large amount of guest data and offline orders in an efficient manner to Sitecore CDP. And generally the data that we are uploading in bulk, that is in JSON format. And the third one is REST API. REST API gives you to retrieve, create, update, and delete data that is available into Sitecore CDP. Because with the Stream API, we cannot make any kind of create, update, delete. So that's why we are using this REST API. So now the next thing comes how you can connect CDP into your website. So for connecting CDP into your website, there are many ways. So first one is integrate using Engage JavaScript library or GTM, that is called Google Tag Manager. Second one that is highlighted, you can see that is integrating using the Engage JavaScript library. The demo that we are giving to you, we are using this way, integrating using the Engage JavaScript library. Third way is integrating a React app using the Engage SDK. Fourth one is same like on behalf of React, we are just using the next app using the Engage SDK. And the last one is integrating using direct HTTP request that we can say just REST APIs. Over to you, Yogesh.
Okay, so I hope like you already got some idea about like what exactly the Sitecore CDP and what are all the features it provides. So few of things like I'll summarize for you like about the Stream API and Batch API. So like Rishi already told about like these APIs. So basically the Stream API is something which is going to be consumed when we are visiting the site, and then it's when we are performing any event like add to cart, maybe something like a checkout, we perform like subscription. So these kind of like models are done by the Stream API with the help of like Event API. And then like the Batch API is already like for large amount of data. If you want to sync in your CDP, then it can help. So I'll show you like each and every work of the APIs there in the demo, and then we'll come to that in the later part. Okay. First thing, like once before starting the CDP, you need to know about like what environment you are on, basically for CDP. So for example, like if you are on like appbrowser.com, it means like you are hosted in the Europe. But if you are in Asia Pacific, then it will have like AP inside the URL. And the same way, like for the USA, it will have the US inside the URL. So these things basically not depends on your geolocation. It's on where your environment is actually hosted. Okay. And another important thing you should know before implementing is like the target endpoint, Sitecore CDP target endpoint, which is going to be used when you are implementing or when you are integrating your Sitecore CDP in your website or any system basically you want to integrate. So the same way, like this also have three regions: Europe, AP, and the US. So that can be like easily identified by your hosting environments, like where your environment is actually the hosted. Okay. And then it was already discovered like guest types, but I'll give you more detail about like the types, guest types in CDP. So there are basic three types are guest in the CDP. One is a customer. another one is a visitor, and the another one is a traveler. So visitor is someone who is visiting your site, but still not identified by your CDP system that is a non-user. So to identification, CDP use some algorithm basically. So like some identification rules. Okay. So when you come to the site, CDP create a GUID for you, a browser ID basically. That browser ID throughout the session you are visiting the site without logged in or maybe without identifying, then it will be with you, the browser ID. It is tracking each and every activity of that user with the help of that browser ID. We can get that browser ID and then we can see what exactly the activity that the user did in the CDP. Okay. Once the user provided enough information to identify, basically, for example, in the sandbox environment or maybe in the demo which we are showing, email is the key for identification. Email is the identification rule. So if user somehow, like user don't need to be login for that, maybe in the subscription itself, user provided email ID. Okay. And like after visiting 3-4 pages, we force user to provide the email ID. Then in that scenario, that user is identified because user provided email ID as a identification. Okay. So that user become now customer. So visitor to customer is something basically identification. Okay. If you are identified on the site, it means like now you are a customer. The traveler is mostly used by the flight orders or traveling sites purpose. So this is something like you can basically create any type of customer in so with the help of REST APIs, which we'll cover in the next slides. Okay, these are the points which we are going to cover like here and we are showing you like where exactly you can find these things and what exactly they do. So first thing is like debug mode. So I'll my screen. Okay, so I'll actually go through with dashboards, multiple dashboards and screen. So first is the debug mode. So debug mode is something like when you like as a developer, you want to know more information about the customer or the user who is visiting the site, as well as you want to know the session, like in which session he was, like what actually the actions he performed. So apart from the dashboard, you want to know the information which actually not showing on the UI, then you need to open on the debug mode. So making the debug mode on your CDP, you just need to go with the feature flag. I'll show you where you can get that feature flag and how you can trigger that on. So to on the feature flag, you just need to go to your CDP and account, and after login, you will see the features there. Okay. So when you click on the features, it is a little bit slow for me. Okay, when you switch on the when you go to the features, so as per your access or your permissions or your account, you will be able to see lot more features here, which are mostly are disabled. You can make them enable as per your need, but yeah, like with my access, I can see the debug one. So I just need to enable it here, the debug one. It is already enabled for me. So if I what exactly the information I can see with the debug, it's I can show you. So if I'm going to the customer, this is one of the customer basically. If I go to that customer, then you can see after making the debug mode on, you can see a lot more information here, like last seen, last order, first seen, total spend, average spend. But apart from that, you can also, as a developer, you can also see more deep details, which exactly need to be identified if something that fails for that particular user. So that can be triggered by the debug mode. Here is the screen, it will open and provide you a lot more information about that user, like what are all the data extension of the user was in the tabular format. Okay, what are the values of these, and your email ID and the identifiers. What exactly the identifiers was used and what information user provided at the time of identification. What are all the orders like user placed is, and you can also identify like which channel user created these orders and all. Apart from that, If you want to get all the data in the format of JSON, then you can simply click on the show as a JSON. So maybe I can show you, because that JSON itself has some access details. Okay, so this is how like it will look like as a JSON format. It will give you more information about like when that created user created, what are all the sessions he was on, what are the data extension properties, and like you can track down like the status of each session there. Basically, like if the session or if the event or session get abandoned at any time, then you can track that down with the information. It shows each and every event status here like this. Okay, channel information, the point of sale information. So these kind of like information you can trigger or you can identify as a developer with the help of the debug mode. The next point is like sessions, which are interactions which are already discussed. So browsed is something, maybe I can show you in the CDP demo here. So when you go to user, any user, and that user is having any interactions, like this is my user and it has some interactions like browse session. Browse session is something user came to your site, visited few pages, and then just close the session. Means like it went out without making any kind of like activity like add to cart or any other activity. So that comes into the browse session. It so when you open the browse session, it will show up the few information like your channel, your device, browser, page views. And if you click on the view session details, then it will give you a few more information like how many pages user actually visited. So this is something you can view when you come to your site without making any kind of like interaction or without making any events. Okay, maybe if I am having more information of the pages. Okay, maybe in the next one I can show you. So after browse, there is one more session which called abandon session. So abandon session is something like when user come to your site, okay, he made some activity like he added some product into the cart. He visited the site for some time and then he left out without making the purchase or without placing the order. Then that order or that session become the abandoned session because he didn't make the purchase. Okay, so in so same view, like you can see all the details of what exactly we are seeing in the session, browse session, as well as we can see the abundant revenue which was actually left in the cart, didn't make the purchase. Okay, so for more information you can simply like click on the session detail and it will show you what are all the products added by the user and what are all the things he has in his cart, and then what exactly like the pages he visited. So lot more information about like user every activity, almost each and every activity done by the user on the CDP channel. Same way, if you go to the next level, means like user came to your site, then added some product in cart and placed the order. That become the converted session. Means you converted that particular activity into the purchase. So that become the converted session for the of the user, and that's how like you'll see like a converted session with the session values like above, like you saw that abandoned revenue. The same way, like I say, the session value that user made a purchase of $274. And same way, like you'll open that board, then it will show you the information about all the purchase with the order, whatever the order number is. These are the all activities done by the user, like added the some product into the cart, and then at last he placed the order. So if that place order is failed somehow, like maybe CDP connection was not able to make at the time, then this window become basically red, and this says the error. Basically, user was not able to complete the order or complete the purchase. And the same way, like it come to the email session. So basically, we extended like we implemented the email for our system. Okay, and then after placing the order, we are sending email to the user. The same way, like when the email get triggered, it comes as a email session for us in the timeline. So these all the information can be seen for that particular user here. You can filter out the interaction types by the right side drop downs. If you want to see the browse session for that particular region, then you can select, as well as you can also filterize on the basis of the channel. There are data in selection also. You can make any data in selection here, as well as like you can make the custom selection of the data in, which exactly give the clear or filtered view of the timeline. Okay. Next is the dashboard. So the dashboard comes here for the CDP, and it show up the reporting of like all the users who are connected with your website, who are visiting your website. So it collects almost like all the data, all the channels, all the transactions, all the profile captures of the user. So this is not the user specific. Actually, this is your website data, complete website data for that particular CDP. So if you open that summary report, then it will show up. Okay, so this will show up like whatever the guest type is here, how many visitors visited the site, how many customer visited the site. So all the information about guest types, new visitors, if there are new visitors, then it will show up the map for the new visitors as well as like the customers. Then order values, like how many, what are all the orders like they placed, what are all the order items were placed by the user. Okay, and the same way like inbound and outbound channel, and all the session reporting here. So each and everything for that particular point of sale, you can say, or for that particular like CDP account, that all the user information shown by in the summary report. Segment report is something which is segmented for particular like you can say like per order, per customer, per channel. So these kind of like report can be done by like you can see in the segment report. The same way it comes to the traffic report. Okay, traffic report is basically showing you all the pages which is visited by the user. Okay, first and last page is visited by any bounce rate of the pages, and the last one is a suspected bot activity which comes with like if there is any bot activity on your site. So these all like reportings are captured by the CDP. Okay, then we come to identity rules. So identity rules are very important part to identify your customer. If let me give the example. If you are if we are a organization where like we have insurance company, we don't want to make like email ID to be identification rule. We have something different, like we have a customer ID or we have a policy ID for each customer. We want to make that policy ID to be identification rule. If user come to our site, just enter the policy ID in one of the field, and then user basically user identified as a like customer in that case. So identification rules can be set or add in the CDP. Let me show you where it can be added. So identification rule can be added here. So on click on the gear icon and then click on the identification rule. So here you can add or update the identity rules. For example, like in my case, I have added like email as identity rules. Okay, you can add your own by clicking on the add rule button. And like in many organization, not only the email but the customer ID is the identification type, like unique ID they provide to every user who is going to log in or maybe who is going to uh, subscribe. So that kind of like stuff, that kind of thing can be used for the identification of users. So identification make visitor to customer. That's the main thing. Like if you are a visitor, you are visiting the site. When you like fulfill the requirement of identification, then you become a customer for that website. And then point of sale. So this is also an important part. If like if your organization is working for multiple things, like maybe one company who is working in IT services, and then transportation, and then clothing. So in that case, we want to capture, we want to separate the data in the forms like so for the transportation, we want to keep the data separated. For the like clothing, we want to keep the data separated. So in that case, like we can create multiple point of sale, and then we can provide different point of sale to different areas, whatever like company is working on. So that can be create or extend with the help of like here you can see the point of sale section we have. So here it can be added basically by creating like the point of sale window. You can create the point of sale for your market. It has few fields, like whatever the name is your point of sale, you can provide here. Then the market, whatever the brand is, and then timeout. So timeout is something like the user last activity comes user came to the website and whatever the last activity done after that, how much time it went after the last activity. Basically, like if someone is coming to your website, okay, and then he did purchase something and then he closed the window. So if we have set up like 5 minutes here, then after the 5 minutes, that session becomes browsed or like converted or abandoned on the basis of the requirement, whatever like the user perform the action until that session is the open session basically. That also I'll show you like how exactly it works in the open session. The next thing is like API access. So basically to connect CDP with your site, you need a client secret, okay? And that can be only accessible by the API access. So this is something like where you can find the client secret of your like CDP, and you can connect the CDP with the help of the client secret. And then next one is the manage user. So like for example, like I'm the administrator here, and then some of my team member want the access of the CDP, then I can simply go to the manage user and I can provide the access to that user. There are a few more information which is given here, but yeah, like these are the basic information which we need for our demo also. So that's why like we are discussing here. Next thing is coming, like there are few events which are already reserved by Sitecore CDP. Okay, for example, like view event, tracking event, then identity event, search event. So these are the few events which are already like reserved by Sitecore CDP. You can make your own event also. That can be done, but these are the reserve event. You can directly use them, like without making any kind of like customization. You can directly use them. Few of them we are going to show you like in the demo, like what are all the events. So basically like view event, we are going to show then identity, then add, checkout, and like yeah, force close. So these are the events confirmed. These are the events we are seeing in the demo next. Okay. So next I'll come to the demo part. Okay. So to demonstrate it, we have created a small site here on our system that is basically having some kind of like products over it. Okay, so we can simply check as much as possible events there. Okay, so for example, like let me refresh the window. Okay, for example, I just came to the site. Okay, then I need to get the browser ID of this user. So browser ID you can simply get from here in the section of like network tab. Yeah, every time when it connect to the just a second, something is failing here. Okay, when user is coming to the site, okay, then events are getting fired because we integrated them. I did write them in the code side. So those events are like for example, like the view event. The very basic event is a view event. So view event is firing on each page load. So if you can see the details here, like in the network tab. If you go to the fetch XSR, you can see the event API is firing up, and the event API is basically the engage API, which is calling the post call with some payloads. Payloads we are defining whatever the payload we have, like we are defining the code. Some of them are basic payload which actually need for the authentication and connecting to the CDP. So those are like dynamically happen, but few of the payload we are providing them like for the view event. We are basically providing few payload. I can show you here what are the payload options for view event we are providing. Like we are providing the type. Type should be whatever the event you are performing. Then like we are providing the channel. Browser ID is the dynamic ID which we are generating. Okay. Then the client key, currency, the language, the page we are on. So page we can make like dynamic, and the point of sale. So for example, like I came to the site, okay, I just wanted to see the activity of this user. So what I'll do is I just like copy this browser ID, and then I want to see in the CDP. Okay, so to searching any customer, like any visitor in the CDP is like you need to go with the BID colon and then the browser ID what you got from the browser. Okay, so if I open this request, then it will show me like the timeline. So here is the overview of that like activity. So whatever like the user came to that like what device he's on, then the timeline, the same like it shows the interactions. So right now I'm currently browsing. Like this user is currently browsing the website. So it says open session. Open session means like if I go there, it says like viewing 2 minutes ago viewing the CDP demo page. Okay, this is our home page. If I do more activities, like if I go to some more pages, maybe this page, salary page, okay, and then checkout page. So it is tracking each and every information. You just need to refresh the interactions and you can go there and you can see like whatever the activity user is performing, real time we are getting the result of those activities in CDP. Like whatever the pages user is visiting. The same way now this is right now visitor. Okay, now we want to make that visitor to customer. Okay, by by providing the identification information. So what is the identification information for the for our setup is email ID. So what I'll do is like I'll click on the login button and then I'll simply provide some information which is needed for the identification. For example, like the email ID is basically needed for the identification, and clicking the submit. So now this user is identified is as a email ID, like that user was already present in my CDP. So with the help of like email ID, both the profile get merged. So now if you go to CDP dashboard, okay, if you go to the interaction and refresh this, you'll see no data here because all the data related to the this user, this visitor basically now merge with the user which you actually identified. So if I go to the guest again, this is the user which actually identified because you can see the activity 1 minute ago, and this was the email ID I provided. So if you open that user, then you will see now that open session is moved to that particular identified customer. So here you can see the same information which was actually like triggered for that visitor. So this is how like the identification works. I'll show you in the code like how you can achieve the identification with the help of Engage JavaScript. Mostly like we are following the Engage JavaScript. It was quite simple to integrate. So I did created the demo in the Engage JavaScript with the help of Engage JavaScript. And you can see the last activity, which was the guest identification. That is also like triggered. And this is what the identification I provided, the email ID. Okay, and same thing like you can see the old data for that user that is already there, but now you think like user just came here and this is the open session. Now I'm just like moving out, so my session timeout is 20 minutes for now, but I have an option to force close. So I'll click the force close. It will basically clear the session for that particular user. So if I click here, then that open session becomes the browse session for me because that is done. That user like the session is already done. That user now moved from the site, and whatever the timeout we given, that is followed. So that's why this session become the browse session. Now we'll see some more activities like what exactly like the actions are performed when user is clicking the adding some products and how the other interactions are going to work. So for example, like the same user, because this user is already identified, so we'll go with the same user. I'm going to add some products like this. Okay. So each for each add to cart, but whatever like we are clicking on buy now, for each activity we are firing up the events. Okay, and that events is actually like getting the some payload, whatever like the product we are adding, that payload, and then it's firing up the API, event API, like add event API. Okay, and then if I go there in the browse interactions, then I can see each and every activity here. So that user in the current session, user is clicked on added some product. Okay, like electronics and top wears. User added some product to their activity, and user didn't completed the order before that. Like I just went out to the checkout, but I didn't place the order. So before that, I just force close the session. So you'll see like that will become the abandoned session. See, that session become the abandoned session because we didn't complete the purchase. Okay, so $397 is the abandoned revenue, which basically we lost because user didn't purchase the actual products. Okay, now we'll go with the another session where user will make some purchase and it will become the converted session. So for example, I'm going to the site, I'm making some purchase. Okay, then I'm going to the checkout page. And at last, like I just reviewed my cart, and then I click on the checkout. So after checkout, so this should be my converted session. Okay, so I'm going to there. Right now I'm in the open session because I didn't force close. You can see the detail here, like I added some product into the cart, order is confirmed, and then purchase is successful. So once the session get like closed, then it will become the converted session here. So let me close that out forcefully. So I did the force close, and now I'll refresh this window, and you can see like this become the converted session here. It means like that user made some purchase. The same thing, the more detail like about the products and everything can be found here in the order section. So basically like in the orders, whatever the order you are making, until that like you didn't make any purchase, you didn't place any order, that tab will be disabled. But if you make any purchase, then that tab will be enabled with the orders, whatever the orders you are going to, you already purchased, and it will show you the more information about your order items and everything. So clicking here, you'll see like, okay, top wear, like what kind of like top wear he purchased, what was the value of that, and what is the order total of that. And more information you can click here, and that will give you the more debug information if you want to get in the form of like JSON or whatever it is like. The same thing, like if you want to see the properties of that user, that particular customer, then you can go to the properties tab, and here you will find each and every information about that customer. Extension is something like if you want to add some kind of like custom data for that customer, that can be like you want to increase the dynamic values for that customer, or any information which is actually not like can't be added for the guest information section, then you can add those, because every company has their own different set of information for the user. Not every company have like only username, first name, last name, and the phone number. Many companies have their different like other information about the user, like maybe marketing number, maybe kind of like some you can say like some specific user details, which is only purpose of like insurance. Maybe you can take an example of the insurance company. So that can be added in under the extensions for that particular user. Event viewer is something which is giving you the like information about each and every event performed for that particular user. So in the event viewer, you can see like whenever like user visiting the site, this is the view event is getting fired. When the user is clicked on the identity button, then identity event was get fired. And here you can see each and every information about the event. Okay, on clicking of this, you can get the more information about that session event. So these events are getting fired by the event API, which we already discussed in the session. Okay, and this view event is triggered by the so when you are browsing, then this view event is getting fired. Okay, and the same way like tracking add to cart event is there, then checkout and the confirm in the checkout event is there. So these kind of like events you can see in the event viewer. If any of the event gets failed, for example like one of the checkout is failed, then you can see in the failed section you can see that event, like that event get failed for the order 521. If you want to debug it, then you can simply like click on this button, and you can get more details about that particular order, and you can see that you can maybe identify the reason of why that order get failed. So this is how like you can get most of the information about the user, as well as like about the order he placed. On the overview pane, you can simply get the insight of that particular like user, like how many orders he placed, total spend of user, average spend of user, and that like how many orders he placed. So these kind of like information, how was like when the last user was active. So these kind of like information, channels, devices. So these kind of like information you can see on the overview channel of the CDP for the user. Okay. So this is how like this is how it's working. So if we go to the code side, then what exactly you need is like first we got the engage like JavaScript version added. We created it like a object, and then we added into the event listener with the help of client key, which you can get by the API access portion of the CDP. So you can get the client key from here, from the API access. And then if you see here, we are initializing the engage API first, okay, with all the values. So it is having like client key is the value which you need to paste there. Then the target URL, which we already discussed. So in my case, it's the Europe one. Okay, this is the Stream API target endpoint. It depends on the environment hosted location, and then the point of sale, which is going to be like where the interaction with your brand takes place, and then the cookie domain. This is also very important because every interaction is tracked by the cookie. So you need to provide your cookie domain for that particular site. And then a few of the optional things like cookie expiry date. So if you want to provide it any number, then you can provide. Otherwise, like it will take the max age of the browser. Then the force server cookie, it is for the client and server, whether to set the client or server from the server cookie, then you can include. And if you want to like run the personalization with the Sitecore personalize, then you can add the web personalization through. By default, all the values are false here. So with the by the polyglot window engage and init, we are initializing all the settings and we are initializing our engage API. Then next come to the view event. So on loading each page, we want to call the view event. So basically what we did is like we provided here the values are static, but you can make them dynamic like the channel. So channel is web, currency, and the page. So whatever like the page, we are making it dynamically and the point of sale. And then in the engage itself, like the JavaScript itself provide the method page view method, where you can simply pass this event and it will capture all the events, whatever like the event page view, all the page views, because we added that code on the which is loading on each and every page. Okay, so that can be like that can track your page view events, like whenever user is coming visiting your site and viewing the page. So every time this event will trigger, this event will get the information and it will trigger to your CDP. Next event is coming like we discussed like identify. So identify event is something like we are providing enough information to identify that user, like we provided the email ID in our case. So here what we did is like we simply like added as much as possible data here. Most of the data are like static, but the email ID itself is the dynamic, because this is the identifier portion, which is the most important like part to identify the customer, to make the visitor to customer. So here we are providing the email ID, and email ID is, and then we are calling the identify event of the engage API. And that identify event is basically going with the event data, and it's making that user to be identified, like making visitor to customer. Okay. So so for like these are the stream API things. So you can say like these are only capturing the details. But if you want to add any like customer, if you want to delete any customer, update any property of the customer, then you need to go with the REST APIs basically. And we'll also show that portion like how you can add, update like customer guest type, and then how you can how you can add, update the orders of that particular customer in the Postman. The another event is the add event, which we already like discussed. Like add event is something like which is calling with when user is adding the any product into the cart. So basically like engage have like the setup where you can pass like the event type, whatever the event it is. For example, like this was the add event and the event data. So this is the product which we added. So this is the product data which basically we are adding to the cart. So each and every information, mostly the information is coming dynamically from our site. Okay, so that's why like it is adding multiple products to that event. And then it comes to the confirm event. Confirm event is something like so you added into the cart and you are ready for the place order, like you are ready for the checkout basically. Then you are saying like that confirm event is getting fired. Okay, and then the last one is the checkout event. So checkout event is something like the completing your purchase basically, and that is actually making your order to be converted order, converted session, your interaction to be converted session. So that's how like the all the events are firing up on our this website, like which I showed you, like how these things are working. The next we are coming with like how you can basically add, update the guest information. So for that, we have a setup in Postman. Okay. So for example, like I just wanted to get the that particular guest. Okay, with the help of guest email. So I already provided my email ID in the guest emails here. So this is what the API is to locate the guest. So if I'm calling with my guest email, like my identification or email ID, then I'm getting few users, few like in the result I'm getting few items. So each and every reference here is the part of like the guest basically. So like these are all the visitor or guest which is combined with this email ID. So if I go here and if I show you in the guest area, search for my email ID. So see, like there are two customers. So this one was basically we didn't provide the enough information for identification. but this is basically the email ID is matching. That's why like this user is here. There are few users, like 2 users are there. Even maybe I can try to search for the guest references. Okay. But yeah, like these are four activities or four like cache types are present for that particular email ID. So for or like if I want to update any information, so I just need to like go to that guest. I just need to get the guest ref of reference of that guest. So guest ref is something you can find in the CDP also. Like simply you can go here and you can click on this gear icon, and there at the bottom you can see the reference of that cache. That cache trap is unique ID for that particular cache that can help you to identify, that can help this REST API to identify the cache. And with the help of that, like you can simply modify any property of that particular cache. For example, like if I go to that cache and if I see the properties here, then it says like the full name is Yogeshwer Sharma, and I want to make the change here. I just want to make this name to be Yogeshwer Kumar. Then I'll just like click on this and this is get updated here. I'll get the response like 200. Okay. And if I refresh this window, I'll be able to see the updated value here for that particular guest like Yogeshwar Kumar Sharma. This is how like the REST APIs are working. If you want to delete any guest which was like you got some bad data there and you want to delete that, then you can simply delete with the help of like guest ref. So you just need to provide the guest ref to this endpoint. So API endpoint is your Boxever API, Boxever URL, whatever like your environment you are on, and then the V2, then guest, then the guest ref. Guest ref like we already know like from where we can get. Either we can get with the locate guest, either we can get that locate guest, and that can tell you like what are all the guests are there, and with the help of like delete guest, the guest ref ID, you can simply delete the particular guest. The same thing you can do because that can be only done by the REST API. You can't do the update, delete, or create with the help of Stream API. The same thing for the orders also. So you can simply like do the same thing with the orders. You can retrieve all the orders on the basis of the order reference. So order reference is again the exact same thing which we are doing. The particular like the reference value, the unique value which is coming to us when we are placing the order. And for any particular guest, if you want to get all the like details, all the guest details, then you can simply get the order items here. These are the order items, and these are the actually order reference IDs. This is the ID which is the order reference ID. If you want to get any of the particular order details, then you can simply get with the help of like order reference. If you want to create any order with the help of REST API, then you can simply use the guest reference and then you can create the particular order for that customer. Okay. So this is how like the APIs, like REST APIs are working on. Okay. And next we have like batch import. So batch import is something which is for example, like you have a call center, okay, and you are having the data for the call center, and now you want to import all the data, all the old data to be your CDP, so that you can provide some kind of like personalization to your customer, or maybe like your marketing team want to do some kind of like study on the data which is coming from your external system, or which is having into any different system. So you can simply import that data, that large amount of data, with the help of batch import. But there are few things already predefined for batch import. So you need to follow those things like import data will be in the JSON format, but the each record, like I'll show you the format also. The each record will be in the single line. Like the file will not be JSON, but the each record will be JSON in a row. So that kind of like data mapping you need to do to complete the batch import. Okay. There is a reference. Maybe I can give you the. Okay, so here you can see like so we have like each record. Each record is a JSON and in a single row. Okay, that file itself is not JSON, but each record we have here is in a JSON. There is a reference. So this reference should be GUID basically, because This is something, this is not the same, the guest reference. This is the reference which is the unique ID for that particular guest. So if something comes wrong with your badge import, then you can simply identify with the help of this reference or this is the unique ID that where it gets blocked or what exactly at which point basically you are broken with this import. You can also add the data extension for that particular user, like for example, like I added the loyalty balance, some loyalty program. So these kind of like external data extensions you can have. Then the provider email, whatever like the your identification provider. So for example, like if we already have a user with like this email ID in your system, each and every information or guest type, the data you are importing with the batch import, it will automatically get merged with that particular customer if you already have that customer in your CDP system. The same thing like, so this is for the guest import. The same thing we have for the order import. So for example, like you have offline orders, okay, and now your online orders are already in CDP, but the offline orders are not. So same thing you can do with your orders also. You can simply like import all the orders in a way like whatever like your orders is, you can add the orders into the CDP, and if the reference ID is matching, then they are merging with the previous orders or like previous guest. Okay, so I'll show you how the batch like batch import is working. I have some like APIs here. So basically, what exactly you need to do is for the batch import, first you need to like call that API and endpoint and the batches API, and then you need to have one GUID, like unique identification, unique ID basically. With that help of unique ID, then you can for your particular file, you need to get the checksum of that file. And how you can get, like I added the links into the presentation for next year, like how you can get the checksum. So this is the URL to get the checksum of your file. You can import your file into this URL, and this will give you the checksum of that particular file, the size of the file. And after that, like once you call that, then it will give you the location. So this location is basically the URL which is going to be used for the import. So next is like upload file. Okay, and in that upload file, basically we need to upload the GZ version of the file. So this is very important because the AWS only handle the import only the GZ file. That's why like the extension is very important for that import. Okay, and you can attach that, and then the upload URL in my case, like I made it a bit dynamic, so upload URL is coming directly from here, which is coming in the upload URL property. So I'm like just using that for the import. Sometimes like it may fail for you. Okay, so this is what we have. And if you want to check the status of the import, then you can simply call this check status API with the batch reference, which we got it from here. Okay, batch reference of JSON data reference, which is coming from the here. So we can simply check the status here, and that status can tell you like whether the file is still uploading, whether it's failed. If it is failed, then it may be like sometimes it may tell you the reason also, like why did it get failed. So that is it. And these are the like resources we mainly like I did use for the learning. And yeah, the next one is like if you guys have any question or answer, now you can push to us, and we'll definitely try to provide you the answers for that.
Thanks, Yogesh. We are already like running late, so there are two questions. So if you can check them in the chat, and if you think that you can answer them quickly, so we can take that. Otherwise, we can take that offline.
Yeah, sure. I'll definitely try to push that. The first one is the API endpoint, from where we can get the API endpoint. So this is for the target endpoint, I think. So basically, like it is very simple. Like you can identify by your URL also that is hosted. You can simply get the detail by here. Like for me, it is f.boxever.com. It means like I'm in the Europe. So like I can like I know like it's a Europe one, so I can get I can identify like okay, it's this is the Europe one, so I can get it from the I can use the Europe URL. Okay. Next question is for how the point of sale and website are connected.
I guess this is how, like, when we are adding the like the API endpoints in our page, and then we can provide the API key and the secret. So that is the way we can connect to the point
So
of sales, I
like,
guess.
okay, so
Yeah, it has
point of
not
sale
directly
is,
connected. We are just sending those point of sale with the our events.
so basically, let me tell you, so point of sale is not for the connection for sure. You won't be able to connect with the help of point of sale with the website. The client key is actually the key which is going for the connection. Point of sale is something to categorize your like business. Like as I gave you the example, like you have like multiple business. Your company has multiple businesses. So fabricated them or maybe like categorize them with the help of like point of sale you can do. So not for the connection, but for the categories, categorize the things.
I think like we can wrap it up because we are running late. So if you have any questions, so you can reach out to Yogesh on Slack, or you can reach out to Rishi as well. So they will try to answer your question. Okay, thanks again everyone for joining this session, and thank you Rishi and Yogesh for presenting Sitecore CDP, and it was a very knowledgeable session for us.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Like
Thanks
thank you for
everyone.
arranging the session.
Yeah,
Thanks, Yogesh.
thanks Yogesh. Thank you.